the high plains of the Midwest, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever your time zone might be. My nod to late and great Art Bell. I'm Keith Sharp.
And I'm G. Drussel.
And we welcome you to Life After Life, a paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or
and I'm G.
Drussel. And the biggest question of them all, what happens? Paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or
and I'm G. Drussel.
And the biggest question of them all, what happens? Paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or
and I'm G. Drussel.
and the biggest question of them all, what happens? Paranormal webcast where we talk about the UFOs, or
and I'm G. Drussel.
and the biggest question of them all, what happens? Paranormal webcast where we talk about the UFOs, or and the biggest question of them all, what happens? Paranormal webcast where we talk about the
Yes.
or and the biggest question of them all, what happens? Paranormal webcast where we talk about the
Yes.
or and the biggest question of them all, what happens? Paranormal webcast where we talk about the
Did everybody get a crazy echo there for a little bit? Hey, Jaggy C, did you guys get a crazy echo? Did everybody get a crazy echo there for a little bit?
You know what it was?
Horrible echo.
I already figured
Hey,
it out.
Jaggy C, did you guys get a crazy
Garrett
echo?
knows everything.
Did everybody
Are
get
you-
a crazy
are you burning
echo
the
there
sage?
for a little bit?
No.
You know what it was?
Horrible echo.
I already figured it out.
Jaggy
crying
C,
out
did
loud.
you guys get
Hey,
a crazy
already.
echo? Did everybody get a
Our
crazy
system.
echo there for a little bit?
You know what it was? That was
echo.
wild.
That was so cool.
That sounded neat.
Yeah, you know,
That was
I
wild.
think it was coming through. We have another so cool.
That sounded neat.
Yeah, you know,
That was
I
wild.
think that was coming super high. We have another so you guys heard. Did everybody? Okay, so let's see. You know, she said it's still happening. You guys are getting an echo. High. Have another so you guys heard. Did everybody? Okay, so what the hell is that? She said it's still. Hang on a second, guys. Echo. High. Have another so you guys heard. How funny. Hang on a second. How is that? She said it's still. Hang on a second, guys. Echo. High. That's so you guys heard. That's funny. Hang on a second. How is that? She said it's still. Hang on a second, guys. Echo. High. Oh, you know what? That's funny. Hang on a second. How is that? She said it's still. Hang on a second, guys. Echo. High. Oh, you know what? That's funny. Okay, that should have done it. Did that do it, everybody? Make a stop. Okay, is it okay? Did it stop?
Ooh-wee.
Somebody, anybody, somebody. That's better. Okay, so you're not hearing the crazy echo, right? That's going to be so funny, Garrett, to listen to on playback.
Hey, you know what we're going to do, though? Can we take it from the top now that we fix it? Because the intro is amazing,
Okay.
dude. Like, just take it from the top.
Do you guys want us to take it from the top?
Well, I want to take it from the I want to hear that intro.
Okay.
I do too.
Yeah, Larry wants to hear
Okay,
it.
so all right, hang on a second. Yeah, we screwed that up, guys. We are still every time I think we got this down. Okay, so we're gonna take it from the top. We're gonna try this again. We're gonna go back in time, right? Just like it. Ooh, we're gonna go back
Nice.
in
Wow,
time.
Great segue.
All right, I know
Did it.
we did it on purpose, right? So here we go. You know what happened?
From the high plains of the Midwest, I bid you good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, whatever your time zone might be. My nod to the late and great Art Bell. I'm Keith Sharp,
And I'm G. Drussel.
and we welcome you to Life After Life, a paranormal webcast where we talk about the paranormal, UFOs, or the unexplained. And the biggest question of them all, what happens when we die? Stay tuned.
Hey, everybody! We'll act like that never happened. So
Hey, if when I time traveled last time,
yeah.
that's kind of what it sounds like as you're time traveling.
Oh my God.
Well, I went recently because I wanted to see. I went back to 1978. And
Really?
I went to Bartlesville, drove up there, and I
Yeah.
got in the car, and I was like, "Hey, I want a soda pop. Anybody want a soda pop?" And I tried to
Yeah,
find
here
the
we
craft.
go.
I tried to find the craft.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't remember what date it was.
I know
so.
you're like, it's 77. You're in the wrong year.
Speaking about like linear time, if you're doing linear time, like they say the string theory, if you went back in time, and so if you're creating a new timeline to change something, but you go back, it's not going to change.
Right.
That's the theory, right?
Right.
So what would be the point of going, I'm going to go either back in time or I'm going to go into the future?
I don't know.
Because it would change the timeline. We are going to have a guy, his name is Ken Arnott. I hope he doesn't mind me saying that. He's going to be on the show. He knows a whole lot about time travel, so he's going to be one of our guests soon. And we have another guest that's going to be coming up, Garrett, the military medium.
Oh, yeah.
Medium.
I can't wait for that.
Yeah, maybe we can talk him into doing readings. Would you guys like some live readings on air? Maybe?
I would.
Come on, I want to see it in the chat room. Come on. Oh, Randy said yes, it stopped. Well, Randy, I hope it stopped a while back.
Hey,
So-
have you seen the movie Men Who Stare at Goats with George Clooney?
No.
Yeah,
Larry, have you seen it?
I have.
It's a great movie.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, so I wonder whenever this military medium comes on, I'm actually going to ask him about that program.
Yeah, look, Melinda.
Yeah, definitely.
Melinda says maybe. Maybe she.
Oh, maybe
Melinda,
this, maybe
I'm
that.
I'm gonna block you, Melinda, if you keep saying stuff like that. I'm God over here, so just remember that.
Wow.
This is my world.
This is a really special podcast.
Yeah, this is. Hey, but I got you guys are probably wondering about the announcements. Anybody wondering about the announcements we have? Anybody want to? If someone chimes in on the chat room and says, "Yeah, we want to know," I'll say something about it. If not, we'll just go right into the show. But it's kind of a cool announcement, I think. Laugh out loud, says Melinda. Okay, Garrett, would you like to see a UFO?
I 100% would rather see a UFO than win the lottery.
Okay. Would you like to see a real UFO?
Yes.
It is a UFO.
Yes.
Okay. So how many out there, and I got to remember there's that 10-second delay, would like to see a real UFO live? And we're 10 seconds behind, so I know you're going to answer. Of course we would. Garrett and I are planning a road trip.
Don't say where.
I'm not going to say where, but it was our guest host that we had last week or earlier this week, Bonnie Rampey. She's able to see UFOs basically every night. And we are going to take our professional photographer, has a $4,000 camera, and we're going to get really good photos of this thing. And not only that, her camera shoots video too, doesn't it?
Yeah, let's not say the day. I don't want anybody to follow us and run us off the road and
Yeah,
take our
we-
$4,000 camera.
No one will do that, but we have to tell the gate, Garrett.
Yeah, no, we will. Hey, and also, it's really exciting because if anybody wants, and I'm sure Bonnie would be fine with it, they can go watch the video. I mean, they can ask to be your friend, and that's what I did. And
Yeah. I mean, so what our plan is, we haven't set the date yet. I don't know if Bonnie's listening. We may do it next month, only because I was thinking if we go January and February, or it'll be freezing outside. I mean, not that it's real warm right now, but it's going to be warmer.
would you
In
though,
December.
If it was
That's
like,
what the memes like.
I know that's what
I know.
Yes, that's a great point.
Yeah. Well, not according to Bonnie. I think Bonnie said that. Remember, she doesn't believe single seven.
Right.
So because she doesn't think the Grays want to take over, but
Blasphemy.
yeah.
Hey, and if you haven't listened to that interview, that was amazing.
Yeah.
That was incredible. You and I sat here afterwards for quite a while. My wife was like, "Get home, wah, 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 wah."
I know.
But we
Wow,
were.
that sounded just like her.
I know, but Keith and I sat here and talked for a long time afterwards, and we were just kind of mind blown by that conversation. It was fantastic. We
Yeah.
went over. We were like at 2 hours and 30 minutes. We probably had to cut that down just a little bit.
Yeah.
We could have kept talking. We could have kept going.
Yeah, absolutely. That was really interesting. But anyway, so yeah, that's a special. Well, we kind of got two announcements, but that's the first one. We're planning to do a live show at her house, filming UFOs. I don't know that anybody's ever done that, and
We're pioneers, though.
well, yeah, we are pioneers, and so I don't think anybody's ever done that. So we are going to be at her house, and when she says she gets that feeling that UFOs are coming, we'll be outside with the cameras, and you guys are going to actually get to see real live UFOs. So
Yeah, it's going to be really hard for me not to just jump up so high and like sprint outside. I'm going to have to play it really cool.
yeah, Let me introduce somebody that's on the line. You may have heard him. This is Larry. Hello.
Hey, guys.
Say hello, Larry.
Hello, Larry.
All right. That's Larry for you guys. Someone had just asked, hey, who's that guy talking?
Yeah.
But
It's okay. Me and Garrett and Keith are all what I like to call partial lovers.
yeah. Don't tell her secret.
Hey, what makes that even more weird is that Larry was the master of ceremony, and essentially he was the preacher that married my wife and I.
That's right.
So that makes
I know.
what he just said really
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah. That's cool.
Oh, and you're my father-in-law.
And as you got, we should just call Larry Area 52 Larry.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah, that's
Because-
awesome. I love it.
Area 52 Larry, because that's where he used to work at Area 52. And
Area
no,
52
we're not
Larry.
getting it mixed up with Area 51. We know there's an Area 51, but there's also an Area 52.
Knockoff version, guys.
Yeah, so Larry worked for he was a G-man. So anyway, so Larry, come on, you saw aliens out there, didn't you? Spaceships, aliens.
No, I saw a lot of weird shit though.
Huh. Okay, tell us one thing you saw that was weird.
Just doors in the middle of the mountains that lead into we don't know.
See, those are secret hangars that have UFOs in them.
Yeah, that's what Lazar would say.
That's what bubbles are. S4.
We couldn't get back there. I didn't have security to go on that road.
So Larry, was it like? I mean, did the mountains like kind of like open up or something? And
No, it was actually like you could see in the back, and the Jeeps and Humvees would just go up into the mountains, or rode into the mountains into like just a random door that opened. Kinda
Oh,
weird.
cool.
We don't really know what was in there.
That's cool. Okay, and the second announcement is dun dun. Drum roll, please. We are on Spotify now. We are on iTunes, and we're soon to be on Amazon Podcast, and I think Stitcher after that. But right now, you guys can go to Spotify, sign up, follow, love us, whatever.
Well, and I think one thing that really helped with that was our new sponsor,
Powerade.
Powerade.
Yep. When I'm thirsty and I need to quench my thirst, I drink Powerade. Actually, that was a coffee. But anyway, okay. So this episode we're doing is part 2 of the Single 7 interview that Art Bell did back in 1998. And we are kind of getting now to the part where he took some phone calls, and there's a couple of pretty funny phone calls on this. So,
Hey, do you want to give a brief, just a quick briefing on the first part? Maybe just 2 minutes. Kind of explain.
if I wouldn't have taken 2 codeines, probably.
Okay.
No, I'm just joking. No, my as you guys probably know, last week I broke 2 ribs, rib 6, rib 7, and it hurts like an MF, and man, like even breathing hurts, like rolling in the bed hurts. It's all bad. But basically, yeah, I'll just recap for some of you guys who may have just tuned in. Single 7 was claiming to be a time traveler from the year 2063. And he came back to Earth to collect seeds that could grow in a hotter environment.
As a paleo ag tech.
Because he claimed that in the future, the Greys, and he called them the Mims because that's the noise that they made, he said, were going to try to inhabit the Earth, but it was too hot for them. They needed it cooler. So the government decided that they were going to heat the Earth's surface up 15 degrees. Was it by 2051?
2051. Yeah,
2051, I think, so that the Mims could not inhabit the Earth. So that's where we're at, and Art's kind of been questioning him a little bit. And he did talk about Y2K before it happened, actually 2 years before it happened, and talks about how in the future we'll use a lot of acronyms, which we do use a lot of acronyms. So, if also, I was supposed to say hi to Greg Henry, and I'm going to show you guys my shirt. Check this out.
Love it.
I got another one that says "Don't probe me."
Hey, can I take the chance to show off my shirt too?
Yeah.
I'm not sure what's on it, but I think it's funny because my brother let me borrow it, and I'm never gonna give it back to him. So I just wear it everywhere now.
Why did he let you borrow it?
Well, because I needed it for something. But he knows not to let me borrow something because now it's mine forever. So, and he's
Devin,
gonna
have any
he's
more clothes that I can borrow?
yeah
So Garrett's just walking around with no shirt.
he's gonna be watching
Get
this.
out of shirt.
I wanted to make sure he noticed that I was wearing his shirt since he'll be watching.
Okay. Yeah. Can we say his name?
Evan.
Evan. Hey, Evan. Hope you're watching. If you are, say hello. Bonnie, I'd like to see a hello from you if you're watching. And Greg Henry, I'd like to see a hello from you if you're watching. All right. So let's get with it. Here we go.
My friend, that why are there not language differences?
But there's a lot of acronyms that we use in the future, but I'm trying not to use them here because they do become clumsy.
But basically, the language, after all, it's only 65 years or so.
Right, but
from now, so it's basically remained intact.
Fairly well, but it has a lot. Acronyms have just taken over that I can hear when I'm speaking to you. You don't use as many acronyms as we do in the future. They're everywhere. They're for almost everything.
Kind of like today.
It's incredible to contemplate a war for our planet, a virtual war for our planet, and our own people coming back to virtually kill millions. And I'm sorry, but we have to look at it that way. We don't look at ourselves as dead and in the past.
Correct, and I do understand, and this is the realization that has come over me. You must understand, though, that these people from the future, and I was one, very patriotic, very single-minded. We're talking about the extinction of the human race.
Yes, you're virtually, so it's the, I don't want to say kill the few because it's not few, but kill the few to save the many.
Right. Actually, it would be, we would be killing a lot more than we are going to save. We do expect water levels to rise. We do expect it to get much, much hotter.
If the poles were to melt,
which we do expect to happen,
then we could expect sea level rises of between 20 and 50 feet.
Correct, monstrous, but we hope after this is the hope, that after the MEM are repelled, that we can
somehow restore it. All right, look, would you be willing to answer questions from the audience?
Yes, I would.
You would? All right, then.
I need to get this out.
All right, then, you're on. Coming up in the next hour, we will indeed open the lines. And if
Okay, so we're going to stop it there. Let me put it back on here. So what do you think about that, Garrett?
Dude, the acronyms thing to me, that's one thing that kind of stood out to me a little bit when we first listened to it, probably 2015. I mean, think about the use of acronyms from 2015 to even now. Now we're using emojis and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So in 98,
There was no LOL element, there's none of that.
Well, and I think you said,
But he's talking about too, I think just in general.
Right. Yeah.
Even companies do that now.
Well, and the thing about it is Art couldn't even really conceptualize what he was talking about, but us sitting here in 2020, and we see how fast that's happened. I mean, that's happened over the last 20 years. Now look at what we're doing. So imagine, because
Garrett, that was when we first listened to it. That was the part where we were like, "Holy shit!" They really nailed that one.
Oops, sorry.
No, I know, yeah, and that's what I'm saying. That was probably Larry 2015, and even since then, I mean, just the amount.
You mean 2015? That's the time you guys first heard it.
That's when we first heard it. I mean, he's saying this in '98 when it was
22 years ago,
right?
So, I
didn't even know what an acronym was till I was 18.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? When we joined the Army, and everything is an acronym.
Did they teach you that in West Point?
Yeah, well, everything is you communicate through acronyms.
Yeah, also Larry was a West Point guy too. So him, I think I told you guys that last week, but yeah, so
that was but it makes sense. I mean, it's much more efficient, but it's also compounding. So for every acronym we come up with, somebody's coming up with another one to respond with, and it's just been this thing. Now we're doing hashtag, and it's just.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's to save time, right?
Right.
You know, for you don't have to actually. We were talking about this off the air about how lazy people are now, and that's a perfect example. Instead of like, God dang it, I got to type out thank you.
Yeah, TY.
So TY, yeah,
Yeah. Well, and I don't even do TY anymore. I do the praying hands.
the praying.
And everybody gets it. That's like thing. But the fact that Single Seven is saying this in '98, and again, I think we had just started whenever Art's like, I'll tell you what, Single Seven, if this is a story, it's one hell of a story, you know, like, and Single Seven's like, Art, this is no joke. Like, this is, I'm being for real. So for him to like tie that in though, I mean, it's just really strange to me.
Yeah, it is. I mean, even if the guy's BS and everything, I mean, he really got lucky on the things he guessed at, you know?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
He did it with such confidence.
I know. And that's the thing is like, I mean, if I made up a story and I called Art Brill, I'd be terrified because I know I would trip over something.
Well, we're going to hear in a little bit in the future, whenever we play that clip of the caller.
Ooh.
But the caller that calls in, that's somebody that, you know, the audience is going to be able to listen to that and be like, okay, that guy's kind of BS. So,
Dude, Garrett, don't you think like Single Seven's living like you know about the trolley problem, like the thought experiments in psychology, where you're on a train going down the tracks, and there's like 5 people in front of you, and if you but you could switch tracks, but there's one person on the other track. So do you switch the tracks to kill the one person to save the 5?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like he's living this out in a weird 4th dimension.
No, he is. Well, and that's what Art says, kill the few to save the many.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, you and I talked about this,
like,
Larry.
kill the many to save the few.
Oh, yeah.
Will you kill
Right.
millions to save the human race?
Right. Exactly.
It's a heavy question.
Yeah. Well, and to him in 2063, that's that's at the heart of everything that they're thinking. And to us right now, we're like, yo, like this is
insane.
Yeah. Well, and that's why Art even mentions it. He's like, well, they're people to us because we're in the now.
Because it's now.
Right. It's now. Yeah.
I can tell you guys, if I get sent back from the future, I'm going to kill everyone.
Because they're just faceless. I mean,
you could just go ahead and call me Terminator.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, earlier in the interview, and is again something we talked about, is like he basically says like, you guys are faceless to us in the future. You're just you have no meaning.
Well, I mean,
you're already dead.
It's the same as like, okay, when we dropped the bomb on Hiroshima, right? No one knew those people, and you know what I mean? They didn't really sit there and contemplate how many people we are killing.
Well, and we talked about it in episode 1, where whenever we're doing this stuff, to dehumanize somebody is the greatest way to, you know, if you want to teach people to be violent towards somebody else, you just dehumanize them. You make it to where, and that's why
they're not even people.
Right. And so that's what's cool about Single 7 too, though, is even that aspect of his story, like his coming, like his enlightenment to why he needs to speak out, is because people became human to him.
And it's a lot too, like you think about snipers taking people out. He's doing it for the better of humanity.
Right.
He believes
Patriots.
Right. And he's patriotic and he doesn't know this person, right?
I've heard the helicopter pilots talk about that. Like they just, I mean, they're on the machine guns, but they don't see him. You know, there's like little dots in the reticle.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and we, even with, at our wedding, I'm trying to like, I don't want to give names or anything, but we did. Well, we had somebody there that was talking about their deployment and the fact that they were just mowing down a town, but it was the mission, like they were accomplishing something, and so
it's a form of patriotism, right?
Well, look at the drone.
I know it's weird, I know it's weird when I like laugh at that stuff, but I mean, you don't want to think about it too much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also, I mean, well, hey, Larry, we were coming up when we were at West Point. Man, I don't want to say that too much on there. I don't want to.
We went to West Point.
No. Well, no, I also just because, but
we don't want to,
that's when the drone program was really starting to take off. Like, so in 2004, the way we would use drones is somebody would literally like run with it in their hand, release it, and then it would like kick in. But like dude, within a year or two, all of a sudden we were getting footage coming back onto our computers in New York where we were able to watch this stuff happen. And it was, you know what I'm saying? So we're watching these, and so it's like, so you're so far removed from it that it becomes easy. So that aspect of Single Seven's story to me, like, really stood out, because
Well, it's probably like playing a video game in a way.
it is, yeah. But he would have to almost like have that experience in order to even think that up, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a difficult thing to wrap your head around, and he's saying it so matter of fact. So
Right.
man, I love that segment. That acronym segment, that is vital. It got me.
Everybody's happy that your microphone is not covering your face.
Oh, cool. They can see my face.
So, yeah, they can see your face now. Everybody was complaining about, we can't see his face. We can't. So,
Yay.
I got not to see your face.
I know, right? That's what I was thinking. But I also
weirdos out there.
Yeah, but also, like, we got him a new microphone as well, so it
Yes.
sounds a whole lot better. But, well, shall we go on, Art?
I don't know. That's a hard question, Keith. We'll take it as it comes. I don't know.
Okay. I love hitting buttons, especially when Art Bell says Keith.
I know. That's so great.
All right, here we go, guys.
Back to Single 7, and they're lined up to talk to you, Single 7. But I've got one facts question that I think is a good one.
All right.
Ask Single 7. 1. Is the person alive today that had a part to play in the development of the time device?
Is the person alive
Today.
now in the present frame?
Yes.
No.
No.
Would be that would make him in his late 60s.
All right.
Uh-oh, hang on. Technical difficulties, hang on.
Indeed, it would. Then, can you give us some brief idea of what time travel, how time travel is accomplished? Is it a technical matter?
You mean a machine type?
Yes.
Yes, it's a tachyon type of plasma device that you're bombarded with.
That would make sense. All right, let's go to the phones and see what we get. First time caller line, you're on the air with Single 7. Hi.
Hello, Art. Hello, Single.
Hello.
This is Jack in Rockland, California.
Hello, Jack.
My question was, has all other avenues been exhausted in battling the men, or what we know as the Greys, or does it just come down to just we got to burn them out?
Can you repeat the question? I didn't hear it.
Yeah, he's saying, I'll repeat it for him. Stay on the line, sir. He's saying, have all other avenues of fighting the MIM or the Greys been exhausted, or has it really come down to we just virtually have to burn them out?
Oh, in the future, where I'm from?
Yes, sir.
No, not all. That's the whole reason that I've become rogue. No, this is the easiest way. It was fought without much loss of life and limb.
You feel there's other ways to battle?
Oh, correct.
Is it through technology that we've gained from them, or we've learned along the way?
It's part of both.
I have one other question. Does Area 51 still exist in your time?
Area 51, where is this at?
It is near me in Nevada. It is a secret base not admitted to by our government, where many people feel that evidence of the MIM may lie. In other words, that our government has had contact.
Well, I know that some of the first contacts in this country were in a desert area. There are many secret bases, but I don't know them by any nomenclature of any kind.
Boy,
I'm sorry about that.
Well, that kind of answers the question, I'd say.
I would too. Caller, I just got a fax from a physician whose name I will not give, but he says, this man that you have on, if it's a story, it's damn good.
Yeah, maybe you should have David Oates reverse speech this guy.
All right. You take
Reverse
care.
speech.
Yeah, reverse speech is a way of allegedly detecting the truth about anybody's, using anybody's voice and running it in reverse and looking for certain specific
Well, that
phrases.
sounds very interesting.
It is interesting. Wild card line, you're on the air with Single 7. Yes.
Okay, so we will stop it there. And Garrett, did you notice they asked about, is there still Area 51? And he was like, he didn't know what they were talking about. So is it possible that at that point it's just insignificant, like everybody knows
Well, it
there's
would
aliens?
be. Yeah, it would be. Well, and that's crazy because that never stood out to me. I've listened to this interview with Single Seven multiple times, and they just kind of skated right over that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Like that didn't stand out to like Art Bell, but to us now, 22 years later, that makes more sense. Because what he's like, Area 51. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and who knows in 2063 if Area 51 still even exists?
Well, I mean, I wonder when they does he talk about when they very first we become aware of the MEMS and?
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah, he does at the end of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
wasn't it like
I think it was
2030?
like 2038.
Yeah,
I think
is
that we get our first transmission from them. That's how they get their name. Is that the sound they made is like MIMS or something like that?
Okay,
yeah, that's exactly right. Exactly right.
Well, it's crazy because we're getting these frequencies coming from many light years away right now that we don't.
We are.
And we're not able. We don't know where it's coming from.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like you remember you were talking last week about the satellite transmissions,
right? Yeah.
That could be the tech group, whatever. Tech, whatever it was called.
The Trav T group.
The T tech group.
Trav
T. Yeah. That possibly we could pick up those satellite
because somebody's like, well,
and,
how do you find him? How do you find these Trav T groups? Art Bell asked, and he said you have to find their satellites.
Frequencies, I guess.
Yeah, and he's like, you'd have to find their satellites, and we don't protect them very well.
Right. Yeah. That's true. And then for you guys who heard something about reverse speech, what he's talking about, there was a guy back in the 90s or actually late 90s, and he talked about, could you tell someone was lying and they would run their speech in reverse and they could hear almost kind of like, they do that now with tremors, looking for tremors in a voice when they record the voice. Kind of stuff like that, to see if there's weird things going or sounding like the voice.
Well, and he brings that up because Single Seven is like, he's so on point about everything. He's like, well, maybe we can reverse speech this guy. Jeez,
Yeah.
He's kind of like saying it as a joke. Hey, the other important part of that little segment you just played is the tachyon. What are those called?
Tachyon beams.
Tachyon plasma device.
Yes.
Yeah, he said something about you get bombarded with them, and that's how you can.
I guess tachyons are like hypothetical particles that are supposed to be able to travel faster than light.
Faster than the speed of light, right? Yeah, and they can actually put those on the end of RF beams.
Okay.
To extend them out, and they talk a little bit about that.
Well, in this segment you found in 1995 where Ricky calls in, and it seems like a freshly upbeat version of Single Seven.
Right.
One of the things he mentions is
the tachyon beams.
The tachyon beams. When he's talking to Art Bell's talking to the Madman Markham.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, he's trying to help the guy make his device better.
Yeah.
And he talks about tachyon beams. It has to be him, man.
Well, I mean, it is. It's his voice.
It's his voice. It is. But he's like, to me, which was interesting.
It just validates it to me more. And then you've got other people saying, well, that makes him fake. No, it doesn't.
No, because to me, it's like he's like freshly here and he's wanting to help somebody like, I'm going to call it Art Bell's Ricky.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it a Single Seven. And then over 3 years, he's had this experience with the New Guinea tsunami.
Mm-hmm.
He's started to become friends with people, and he's like worn out. Like in this interview, to me, he has it together, but he seems like somebody that's been through the ringer over 3 years.
Yeah. He sounds like that E6, E7 on his eighth deployment.
And he does. No, yeah, he does. He's just like tired. He's like, man, I've been doing this, and so. Yeah,
he's been in the trenches for too long.
Yeah. But he mentions tachyon beams.
Well, it's almost like it's heavy on his mind.
It is
because all these people that are dying is heavy on their mind.
Yeah, it's like killing millions of people with hard day work.
Also, for all those people saying, "Hey, I can see Garrett's feet, and he needs shoes for Christmas."
No,
that's what they were saying. I said, Garrett's a hippie, man.
Yeah.
So,
well, in our initial shows, my feet were just like showing, and then you move the camera, and you're like, I got to get your feet out. And I was like, well, because I hear a lot of good things about my feet.
Well, I tried to save the people from your feet.
I really did. Flappers.
And guys, just to let you know, that's the reason I brought the camera where the camera angle is now, so we couldn't see Garrett's feet. But he's still like
they're still getting in the shot.
I refuse to wear shoes.
Okay,
I'm part of the barefoot
you guys
revolution.
you guys will just have to
Live with my feet.
Yeah, and we can. Yeah, yes, Gina, we can take calls tonight after our little segment here.
I can't wait. That's my favorite part.
So let's go ahead. Yeah, when someone calls, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Okay, here we go.
This is Dan in Virginia.
Hi.
I think his name's Jonathan. If he doesn't mind me, is that correct?
I'm having trouble hearing.
Are you?
It sounded muddled. What was the?
Well, he said he believed your name was Jonathan. Yes.
Yes, Jonathan.
Which would you prefer me to use, single 7 or Jonathan?
Jonathan, please. Now that I'm rogue, I don't really have a rank anymore.
Okay, I have several questions. One has to do with a dimensional shift that we are, since is happening now, moving us into the fourth dimension. And I was just wondering if you had any substantiation on that, from your time period.
Well, there are dimensional shifts whenever a MIM craft comes into being. Through history, you can see spontaneous combustions, things falling from the sky. It's a patchwork type of time frame. A part of the fourth dimension will come with them, and things will be jerked out of time and space, and a lot of times deposited. Come with them.
Oof. All right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Jonathan.
Hello, this is me.
Yes, you. Where are you?
I'm calling from Miami, Florida.
Miami. All right.
Could you speak up a little?
Yeah, you're going to have to yell at us.
Yeah, I'm calling from Miami. The first question I have is, there's a lot of talk about government secrecy and Area 51 and the cover-up and UFO abductions. Does this information ever get revealed? And if it does, what's the outcome of the revelation?
All right. The question is about alien abductions. In fact, in this time period, we're getting a lot of reports of people being taken on board ships, people with implants in various parts of their bodies.
Oh, yes. Okay, yes. Yes, that does happen. That did happen. All through time. No, we do know that. That's the MIM. They're probing for weaknesses.
They're probing for weaknesses?
Yes, sir. Weaknesses in our human species.
All right, I want to read you something very briefly. This is from a friend of mine in Australia. It's also posted, folks, by the way, on the website. It's entitled Advisory from Stan and Holly Dale. Stan Dale, as you know, is a very good friend of mine. The following explains that there are other scientists besides Stan very concerned about a lake called Taupo possibly erupting, repeat, erupting. Scientists are going on 8 dives in 2-man subs, taking samples of the gases gushing out of the submarine vents, as well as rock and sediment. They will be doing this at the reef. I'm sure you have heard this referred to as the plug in the volcanic dome in this lake. Scientists are fairly sure the area contains an active geothermal field, including hot water jets possibly gushing out of hydrothermal chimneys, the underwater equivalent of geysers, and this is in Australia and New Zealand. Does this sound like the work of one of these groups, Jonathan?
Yes, this sounds like the starting of a new cell that they've started. That's how it usually begins, with jets in the bottom of the ocean, of what I understand, and then it builds and builds over time, of what you would consider time, builds into volcanic activity.
Okay, west of the Rockies.
Okay, we're back on, Garrett.
Huh.
So, what do you think?
Well, there's another Area 51, and it kind of goes back to the point you were making earlier, because he wasn't like tracking. He wasn't tracking exactly what this person was saying until she or he, whatever. I think it was a girl. She said, alien abductions and implants. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. Like, because he still Area 51 wasn't on his mind. He's like, okay, there's another.
Yeah, to me that's interesting, the implants, because there's actually, I wish we would have looked this up before the show. There's a doctor who used to remove implants from people.
I feel like he still does.
Well, I think he may have passed away.
Oh, did he pass away? Okay.
I think so.
I remember seeing that documentary though.
But they said that they would start to go in to get this thing, and it would start moving.
Yeah.
And they had to finally. I mean, it took them forever to get these implants out of people.
Right. Well, and you asked Bonnie whenever we were like, well, why would they like abduct, or why, what's the purpose here? And you brought up a really good point. You're like, well, what if they don't have emotions and they want like to figure out human emotions? Or why would you want to be a hybrid, And so...
Yeah, I just couldn't understand why the Greys, I mean, if they're so advanced, so much more advanced than us, then why would they want to dirty up their DNA
right.
with humans?
But no, what Single 7 is saying makes more sense, because they want to see what exactly, where they can get in, like how they can defeat us, what our weaknesses are.
Right. So interesting. Okay, here we go.
Dude, I love
On
that
the air
part
with
where he's talking
Jonathan.
about
Go ahead, Larry.
dimensional shifts, and then they had that's what causes spontaneous combustions.
Yeah, talk about that.
I'm like, dude, that's wild, because like spontaneous combustion is a bunch of pseudoscience.
Right.
Like they don't really know how it works.
Right.
Or if it even like is real. Like there's like examples throughout history of it happening, I guess, but then they don't really know. But then his explanation is that they're crossing those dimensional shifts from the third to fourth, and that's where things like randomly fall from the sky, or people burst into flames. I'm like, that's an interesting explanation for
That
it.
is, right.
You know what I mean? I would never have thought of that way.
Yeah,
It
no.
is.
Yeah. Well, and even when he's talking about that's the start of a new cell. Like these volcanic these eruptions that are beginning to happen underwater. And I forgot who I was that's what Commander Faber said. He said if you're going to hide something on Earth,
Hide it in the ocean.
hide it in the ocean. Hide it really far
Well,
down
and
the
there's
ocean.
so many sightings of crafts coming out of oceans now.
Right, yep.
And I mean, if you think about if they were, I remember a story, something about around the Florida area where about the water temperature was raising, and there was like some type of, they were picking up vibrations in the ocean, like something was under there.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you
That's
went,
creepy.
if you went with what Single 7 say, that'd be a Trav group,
yep.
running something down in the ocean to heat up the water level,
Right.
Which would cause freaking huge problems.
Absolutely. Well,
with your weather, with not volcanoes, but with the tsunamis causing earthquakes.
Right.
It'd be crazy.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Well, and if you go with like, the idea, if you're going to hide something, make it under the ocean, like as far as extraterrestrials, by raising the temperature 15 degrees, melting the poles, that's just going to...
Oh, man.
what
Can
I'm
you
saying?
imagine?
Then we're going to have all this vast ocean that we have no idea what's under there.
Yeah.
That is terrifying.
That's
That's terrifying.
Polar cap started melting.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it's absolutely terrifying.
Because there's already so much under there we don't know about.
Yeah, that's scary to think about. God, I hope he's wrong.
Yeah.
But we'll be long dead and gone by then, I think.
Man, hey, that's crazy.
I plan on living forever.
You youngsters, yeah.
Hey, Larry, that's a great catch, though, with that spontaneous combustion. And
It's neat, right?
Yeah,
That's an
it
interesting
is.
way to think about it.
It is.
an interesting way to think
Very
about
good.
it. Which goes back to freaking Single 7, though. I mean, we're sitting here like kind of dumbfounded. This isn't just one thing he's saying.
I know.
This is like every segment we play, we're like, yeah, man, that's a really good way to put it.
There's-
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been around for 100 years longer than us.
Right.
True.
Oh, when Jaggy C says it was Dr. Roger Leir.
How do you spell that last name?
Leir,
Okay.
and he was the doctor who was removing implants. So anybody watching, I encourage you look him up on YouTube and on the net. There's some very interesting stuff about, like I said,
Leir.
yeah, just to me,
Implants,
taking implants out and they're freaking moving through the body.
Yep.
So, okay, well, let's go on to this next section.
Hello.
Good evening, Mr. Bell. How are you?
Okay, you're going to have to yell at us. Jonathan is in a noisy place, I think.
Okay, first of all, I have a little trouble with the time travel aspect. I believe that the Philadelphia experiment explained why time travel really does not work.
And I also was curious if you are, and I love to ponder questions or answers. What are the pyramids for?
Oh, I see. All right. It's a good question for you, Jonathan.
What is what for?
The pyramids. Do we know anything more? Do you know anything more in the year you come from about the pyramids than we know now?
Well, the pyramids, they're just stones. They're stone pyramids. I don't understand. You mean you think there's something that they're for?
Yes. That was the question.
Well, no. Well, thinking about it, there were cult groups at the start of the millennium that thought that there were places all over the earth for certain things, but it hasn't been proven or anything, and those have pretty much died away by the time I was even born.
You told me that by your year, by 2063, right? There will be if all works out, how much of a temperature change?
A 15 degree.
Plus 15 degrees.
An average.
All right. Between now and 2063, surely long before we get to 15 degrees plus on average, conditions here will become intolerable in many parts of the world. And my question would be, when do you think that would begin to occur? I mean, it's underway right now.
Like I said before, by 2051.
By 2051. All right, fine. First-time caller line, you are on the air with Jonathan. Hi. Hello?
Hello?
I am. This is Todd calling.
You from where?
Hello?
Actually, I'm calling from the future.
You claim to be a time traveler.
Right. I'm on with this. This is a long story here. I'm going to try to make this short. I see. I'm calling from an agency from the future. Okay, we're tracking down this fellow, Single 7.
All right. Well, this is somebody who claims to be tracking you down, Jonathan.
Excuse me. Hello.
Yes. Yes. We are calling from right now the future. Okay. We managed to communicate with Earth, and with the current date as it is now 1998. This fellow here, Single 7, okay, is not given an accurate description of what's going on. I'm actually working for a detective agency for the United Nations, as he calls it, the sovereign nations, and it's not quite as...
All right, what is not accurate about what he has said?
Okay, what's not accurate is that we are not going to kill out anybody, like he says. You see, we're just warming up the Earth to proper temperature, but we're not actually going to do anything of that sort to kill out millions of people. We know what goes on. We do not want to disrupt life as it is.
All right, so he's denying, Jonathan, any...
Yes, Mr. Bell, anyone who calls Interfax is into it. I was kind of a radio buff of your show from the past. I can't believe anyone from any of the cells would actually be listening to you. I don't mean to deflate your ego or anything, but I don't...
Doesn't bother me.
They're so single-minded that they do a task and then they leave to the next task. I just can't believe that anyone would be calling you.
You don't think that he's credible?
Correct.
But surely anybody from one of these task forces that are here even temporarily would probably say something like he said in defense of what they are doing, wouldn't they?
Oh, I'm sure they would, if they even bothered at all to talk to anyone.
In other words, they feel that their mission to warm Earth is God, country, and apple pie, and...
Correct. It's ultra-patriotism.
Exactly.
They're very single-minded, like I keep saying. They're quite a humorless bunch. I'm, like I said, a farmer, and there were a few farmers that were picked to collect the grains and seeds. I just can't believe I've met with these people. It was even hard talking to them.
All right, so
myself.
it really was your job then to collect these grains and seeds and try and adapt them to be able to grow in the much warmer climate.
Well, no, we wouldn't adapt them. We would sequence their DNA and hybrid them with other crops. We'd take out the adaptability and use them for our crops in the future.
Okay.
Okay, well,
I love the guy tracking single seven.
yes, yeah.
Single seven. We're watching this fella.
You're performing.
Yeah, he almost said performance and he didn't, but yeah, that was funny.
But to me, the common theme for me has been consistency.
Yep.
Even consistency in the face of that, right? That's laughable. That guy that calls in, he's obviously faking. But even the way he handles it, he's like, "They're, not to deflate your ego, but nobody's listening. They're single-minded."
Right.
He's like, he redirects back to all the facts he said before in the interview.
Yeah.
He's totally shits on that guy.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
he's like, that's obviously fake.
right. Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that time travelers, well, besides single seven, is going to take the time to listen to Coast to Coast.
Right. Yeah.
They got other things to do, I'm sure.
When he says that they're so single-minded,
Right.
They're like, it's all about mission this, mission that. So.
Right. Hey, hello to the Paranormal Circle.
Hi,
hey,
Paranormal Circle.
Hey, cool. Thanks for joining us.
I didn't hear, but did he make any response when that guy was talking about the Philadelphia experiment?
No, he didn't really comment on it.
Glossed over that.
Yeah, I mean, and there's some really interesting stuff out there where, like I was talking last week about, actual witnesses said that the sailors that were on that ship, their faces and everything melted into the iron of the ship. Yeah.
So talk about what. Go ahead, Larry. Like what is?
Yeah, dude. Hey, well, it's Philadelphia experiment actually took place down the road from me at the Naval Shipyard in Philly, and it was like World War II. And what it was, I guess there's claims that they took a U.S. destroyer and they made it invisible, and they used it and they sent it through time. But then the reports came back that the people on the boat, like sailors, died. Like when they went through time, that they encountered aliens, and then people's bodies were like fused with the hull when they came back. It was awful. Yeah.
So, but did it really happen?
Oh no, I mean it's debatable.
Okay.
Yeah, like everything else.
So
yeah, it's true because it was a top secret classified project,
Yeah.
right? So I mean, if you got someone coming forward, it's like a flip of the coin,
right? No, for sure.
Are they telling the truth or are they not telling the truth?
I like the way Single Seven responded to the pyramids. He's like, they're just rocks.
Yeah, they're just rocks. They're not doing anything.
Yeah, you have to really think about it. He's like, the pyramids, but again, consistency, right?
Well, there's so many conspiracy theories about that too. That there's magical power that's coming off.
Well,
it's just like Stonehenge. What was Stonehenge for?
Yeah, well, that's what he said. There's cult groups that feel like that there were objects that were placed around Earth that had some sort of meaning, and we know in the future that they actually didn't. They're just rocks.
Hey, Larry, what's that? When I used to cross that. What's that big bridge in Philly that goes up to Atlantic City? I remember seeing all those ships over there.
I love that.
There's a guy's name.
Walt Whit?
Yes.
Yeah.
The Walt Whitman Bridge.
Yeah, it goes right over it.
Yeah, I used to drive over it all the time in Philadelphia. Yeah.
Love
and they had all those ships over there. So how close to from the Walt Whitman Bridge was, do you know? The Philadelphia experience? For the where the actual...
No, dude, it's like you go right across... It's like you go right over it. You can see it. It's to your left side. If you're going like 95, you go like straight on 95.
Yeah.
95 south. And you look to your left, you can see the Navy shipyard right there.
Yep.
Oh, wow. So I was
You can't miss it.
Yeah, I was probably looking at it every time I crossed that bridge in Philly. Cool. All right. So shall we go on, Mr. Garrett?
Yeah, because I think this next part's pretty important because he's talking about like what his actual job as a paleo tech is.
Yeah.
And again, this checks out. Like it makes sense what he's saying.
Right. So here we go.
Because the warming trend, like I said before, would destroy most crops. And this was my job, just to find these ancient crops, a paleo ag tech.
When did it begin to turn for you? I mean, how long ago in real time, linear time,
It was It was a tsunami.
It was the tsunami that
Yes,
did it.
everyone was talking about it in a place I was at the time, and I saw horrible, horrible pictures of dead bodies, and it all clicked to me. It reminded me of some of the MIM massacres that we've had.
How much of what has gone wrong, tragically wrong, with the climate that has resulted in many dead and or earthquakes is a result of what the MIM have done?
The MIM aren't, I don't understand. You mean the MIM cooling?
Yeah, in other words, we've got your group with satellites and a geologic poking about.
Yeah, the only times that I know of the MIM changing things were in the ancient past of Earth.
Ice ages.
Right, they were trying to get it to wipe out humans. A preemptive strike, if you will.
You realize, of course, that a lot of people listening will have a very difficult time believing all this.
Yes, as I said before, I want to try to get it out, but as I said before, you'd have to picture yourself going back to maybe the start of the century or the 20s or 30s and trying to explain jet aircraft or computers and not actually having one, and they just wouldn't believe you.
Believe me, I do understand that. All right, hold on, Jonathan. We will call you Jonathan by your request. If you have questions for Jonathan, so far this one comes up credible to me. But if you have questions for Jonathan, come now. All lines are cooking, so I guess you are on the way. All right, back now to...
Okay, and we are back.
And that paleo ag tech jargon he's talking about, I think that's an interesting take on it too. Like, I think, and I hate to be such a super fan of Single 7, but I was just so blown away. It just like wasn't on my radar when I first heard this. And you know what I'm saying? And then obviously the evolution of some of the things he's talked about over the last 5 years since I heard it initially.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a super fan. I must admit it.
Yeah,
I
me too.
The paleo ag tech stuff, it's legit. You know, he's coming back. He's trying to find seeds that are going to be sustainable for the increase in temperature. That makes perfectly good sense.
Yeah, I mean, he really would have had to work on this story because he's talking about, taking parts of DNA of a seed.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that
adaptability.
So it could adapt with a new environment.
Well, he's doing it over time as well. He's like, it's almost like they're experimenting. They're throwing a bunch of crap out there, and they're throwing jello to the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yeah,
essentially is what they're doing. So
that's interesting.
Wow, yeah, can you just kind of gloss over the fact that there was a giant MIM massacre?
Yes, we were just talking about that off camera.
He was like, "Oh yeah, it reminded me of bodies, top bodies." Reminded me of I'm like, what? Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, so talk about the MIM massacre.
Give us a heads up.
I know.
On that one.
Yeah, I mean, it happens in 2020, so.
Yeah, well, it's funny. It's kind of the funny thing about art, though. Like, what stands out to Art is kind of interesting. Like, for us, we would have been like, tell us about the MIM massacre. But he's so cool, calm and collected. You know, he's talked to time travelers.
Yeah, but you think,
all the time.
but I mean, you think Art would be interested in that as well because it's like, that maybe it was in 1999, 2000, you know, during Art's time, you know, so either that or maybe Art didn't believe him. But, you know, when you called Art Bell about Single 7, and he kind of did seem like he did believe him.
Yeah.
And when he just kind of said, well, because I don't know what happened to him. And
yeah, but think about Art's life, all the people he got to speak with and have conversations with.
Oh, God.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So many, probably lots of nut jobs. I mean, and I'm sure there's people listening to this now that may think this guy's, you know, full of crap.
Well,
you know, who knows?
I mean, he could be, but a lot of what he's saying is very consistent and kind of has moved in that.
I mean, that's true. We're all technically full of crap.
Yeah, that's true. Technically.
That's true.
But the fact that this is 1998.
Yep.
Still.
Right now?
Yeah, right now. We're actually in 1998.
We went back in time. We did.
Yeah. really look forward to 2020. It's going to be the best year ever.
Oh God!
No, but the fact that it is 1998 is still baffling to me. It just really is. Like,
it's very interesting. Some of the stuff he's saying.
In hindsight, so
yeah. Okay, so let's go on here, and then we're almost done with this. Then we'll take some calls.
Yep.
Okay.
Jonathan, a trivial question.
Mr. Bell, 1 minute.
All right.
I will answer your questions. I only have about 15 more minutes.
That's fine.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Stupid question, maybe. Does baseball still exist in your time?
Oh, yes, it does.
Ask Single 7, I'm reading now the facts. Jonathan, if we are patriotic to a one world government or the U.S., in other words, is it still a nationalistic pride, or is it the patriotism to the combined governments, the UN, if you will?
Right now, it's patriotism to the human species. We're at war.
I understand. He also asks, what happens to President Clinton?
What happened to whom?
The president we have now of the U.S., President Clinton, who is in a considerable amount of domestic difficulty. It's probably a trivial question.
Yes, and I don't remember. He must have not been a hugely important president, because I just don't remember. I don't remember all the presidents.
Yeah, that's a good answer. All right. On the first-time caller line, you're on the air with Jonathan. Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
All right.
Nice
Where
to be on your show, Art.
Where are you, sir?
I'm in Sacramento, California.
Okay.
And my name's James. I have a question. I'd like a quick few, and it's only because of certain things I've heard on the radio show in recent times. I don't know how, Jonathan, how well you know about history, at least in your time, and what's happened from, I'll say, from now until the time that you're from. I'm curious, does California actually fall into the ocean?
Uh-huh.
California falling into the ocean? No, we do surmise that it will be under the ocean.
And again, that would be because of the warming, the melting of the ice caps?
Correct.
That would definitely do it.
You mean the actual land sliding down into the ocean? No.
Yeah, he's concerned about a geologic event that would virtually change, causing, as he points out, California to fall.
No, I'm not all that up on the weather tech, and there is a fault, I know, that goes through California. But I don't, even in their equations, I don't think that it actually slides into the ocean.
All right, here's a technical question for you. You may not be able to answer this, but you indicated that there were ground signals that were controlling satellites that are accomplishing this weather modification, correct?
Correct. The TRAV-T groups, of course. They have to control the satellite first.
Yes. Do you know offhand what frequencies we could listen to?
Yeah, there is a manual for it, and I don't have it, and I do apologize for it, and there's many, many frequencies.
How would you advise somebody who's trying to find these transmissions to look?
Yeah, what I'm going to have to do is try to find a dissident that is a weather tech. Get him. As I said, I can answer all the questions you would want about paleo agriculture, but the weather tech, I know, I was briefed on it, and I know what their mission is, and I know some small parts of it, but very technical things I do not know.
All right, I understand. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Jonathan.
Good morning.
Hi.
Hi. Good morning, Jonathan. This is Pam. I'm calling from Vancouver, Washington.
Yes.
I would like to know, in our time, Jonathan, here, we have quite a few people that are in clairvoyancy, prophecies of the future and what's going to happen. Is there a particular name of anybody that has proven out through history up to your time to have actually hit the nail on the head?
That's a very, very good question. We have prophets in our past, Jonathan, like Edgar Cayce and others who, Nostradamus, who have been reputed to be very accurate in what they saw. We also have modern-day prophets today. When you look back from the year 2063, are there any names that come to mind of people who had it pretty well down today?
Yeah, I'm not really interested in that field. I tend not to believe it, and it kind of died out long before I was born. I do remember, hearing something about Nostradamus as some sort of prophet and some biblical prophets, but I don't know if I don't study on that. I know that might make my credentials go down, but I'm just not interested.
No, that's all right. I'll take the answers as they come. What about spiritualism or religion in your year?
Slick Willie.
Do what?
He knows about Y2K, but not Slick Willie.
Yeah, yeah, true. So let's talk about that. So, how many people think what he said? Bill Clinton wasn't an important president. I already know what Jaggie's word, what she thinks.
Well, I think it's just interesting because when hopefully by that time we're not going to be looking back. I mean, what can you tell me about Taft or any of those guys?
Yeah, I know.
Like it's like,
hey, how's your knowledge of Grover Cleveland?
Yeah, but it's good. Kind of like, honestly, for me, it puts things in perspective. It's like, oh man, yeah, we don't have to even think about that. But
yeah, I know when Bill Clinton signed the Balanced Budget Act, my salary went down about $30,000 a year. I know that. So thank you.
Hey, the Clintons are really into UFOs.
Off the rails when I figured out, dude, when you said baseball still exists,
yes,
in 2063, I'm like, oh god, I had so many questions. I'm like, well, what are the bats made out of? Is it still 60 feet 6 inches?
Well,
like,
because people don't know that Larry worked for the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Well, they all wear protective gear. They all wear protective gear now, Mr. Bell.
Yeah, well, for those who are out there listening,
because of the lawsuits that happened with baseball in the future, they started. They had to start.
Dude, we could make so much money off of that.
Oh, yeah. I know. Exactly.
Don't get Larry started on baseball; it'll all be over our heads.
Yeah, Larry's a huge baseball fan. So okay, let's go ahead and finish this thing up.
Does it continue? Does Christianity blossom? Does church going begin to wane? What is spiritualism like where you come from, when you come from?
Christianity somewhat died in 38 when they found the Ark in Ethiopia.
Now he means the Ark of a Covenant.
Had some sort of inscriptions on it that I don't know how to explain it. A lot of Greek mythology was turned into the Christianity type of religions.
Wow.
It was dealt kind of a blow because of that. I know that there was some ancient other myths from other lands.
Why would the finding of the Ark, wherever it would be found, diminish Christianity?
Well, it was found and it had inscriptions, literal inscriptions on it that weren't like a modern day Bible, a book.
Oh.
And what they could do then was trace them back to ancient myths, like the myth of Jesus was traced back to the myth of Hercules being part man, part God. Even his name, Jesus, was from the Zeus, part of his father's name.
All right, east of the Rockies.
Is that a very?
That was an answer that will get me a lot of mail. That's all right, though.
I do apologize.
That's quite all right, Jonathan. I'm used to it. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Jonathan. Where are you, please?
Hey, Art. This is Kevin in Johnson, Nebraska.
All right.
I have a couple questions, one serious and one not so
Sounds
serious.
like Kyle.
Okay.
One is, right now in our time, the big scare right now
No,
that
one of my
everybody's
buddies.
talking about there in the movies and stuff are asteroids and comets, and I was just wondering if, in your time, if we run into any problems with them. And my second question.
Well, hold on, one at a time. Pause. Asteroids and comets are a concern. We have a lot of Earth-crossing asteroids, just big old nasty rocks out there. Should they impact the Earth, would take away a great deal of life and cause.
Yeah. I'm going back to my science classes now. From that, what I remember, I mean, there's nothing that's impacted from the time I'm from, but what I remember is that Jupiter is pretty much what saves Earth and most of the inner planets because it's so big and it tends to be a magnet, and that's what keeps the rocks from hitting Earth.
Well, actually, that's a very good explanation. It has an incredible magnetic field.
Yeah, I'm going back to my elementary science.
All right.
And the man said he was from Nebraska.
Yes.
Yes, I'm from South Dakota, actually.
Oh, cool.
Went to the South Dakota School of Mines for farming. Yeah. Go 49.
Well, my second question is more of a pop culture question. I'm a big fan of rock and roll. I like Art does. I like Fleetwood Mac and Nirvana and stuff. I was wondering if rock and roll still exists in your time.
Good question.
Rock and roll, no, I'm sorry.
No?
No, I mean, I've listened to rock and roll as they play it on some of the nostalgic nets, but what we do for entertainment there is neuroaugmentation. I don't know how to explain it quite.
Neural augmentation.
Yes, it's like you have now is the internet. Just picture the internet if you could take a plug it into your mind and communicate that way with the thoughts of others. It's very interesting for sex as well.
Ah, great.
Indeed, it causes one's mind to wobble. West of the Rockies,
okay,
dude. That right there. I know. I see here like about the Ark and everything like that. It's but
yeah, I knew there was going to be a little bit of grumbling when he came out with Christianity was a fake religion.
I actually talked to like when I heard that part though. Even recently, I was re-listening to it with Cass. I was like, man, this just seems like hard to believe that it would only take 20. Because he said in 1938 they find. I'm sorry, 2038 they find the Ark. And he's coming from 2063, so was that 25 years? And
just to be specific, they're not talking about Noah and the Ark.
Right. The Ark of the Covenant.
Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah, and so I was like, man, 25 years.
I think
a lot can happen in 25 years. A lot can happen in 25 years.
Yeah, I think Art, if you listen, I think he was getting confused. Like he said, well, why would that? Because he was saying, why would that affect it if they found the Ark? I think he was meaning, well, if they found the Ark, it gives more credence to Christianity.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't think he was following, but... Yeah, so he was saying Jesus basically is a derivative from Zeus.
Greek mythology, and how it kind of evolved and was interpreted into different...
Yeah, Christianity is going to go on and on.
Well, here's the thing. You're just going to have to live to 2038 and see what happens.
Oh, Lord.
But here's the thing that gets me the most about...
Thanks, Larry.
Yeah, the most about this entire interview. The acronyms is crazy. His knowledge of what he's talking about, his confidence, his consistency. The neuro augmentation part of this is right on now, Neuralink, dude. 2016 became public. Yeah. I mean, if you listen to Elon Musk talk about it,
I was about to say he was just talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got somewhere in the realm of, it was remarkable, hundreds of millions of dollars in that first year, 2016.
Yeah, it was like $158 million.
Yeah, just boom.
Yeah.
And so if you listen to Elon Musk speak about what he calls Neuralink, that's his company, it's exactly what he's saying in 98.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
And Art was like, neuroaugmentation,
Yeah. Especially when he said it's good for sex.
Yeah, right? yeah. Fast forward 22 years.
Well, I mean, you think about it, people, they divorce over text messages now. They break up with their girlfriends. It's almost like we're getting so far away from socializing together. Mm-hmm. Like when you go to the restaurant, people on their phones. So,
I mean, I can see sex in the future for some kids being very awkward because, oh my God, I gotta interact with that person.
Well,
you know?
It was funny. Larry and I have a friend. I'm not gonna say his name on the air, but
go ahead.
He's a little friend from Alaska. Don't say his name. Who's very highly intelligent, and he did an internship somewhere in Silicon Valley, and they're creating like a 3D Apple, or no, what is that called? Where you see some, like they do it with Whitney Houston now. She's
hologram.
Yeah, so he was developing the hologram. Okay, and their first thing was they developed an Apple, and I remember him coming to me and telling me about this. Well, he came to visit recently, and we were sitting on the back porch, and he was telling me, he was explaining neuroaugmentation. And about, how he would do it in a heartbeat.
Oh,
and
he was all about it.
Yeah.
We're like, no. I'm out.
Yeah, we were arguing. We were all arguing about it. But he was like, dude, in an instant, like every humanity all of a sudden becomes just wise to everything. You can look, but to me, I'm like, no way, dude, because
don't they actually? Yeah, I mean, they have to actually implant something in your brain.
And
that could go horribly wrong.
Well, and we talked about hackers. First off, I don't want somebody hacking
people
in my
hacking
brain.
your brain.
But this is why Elon is he's almost like a whistleblower for AI. Like there needs to be something in protocol in place of how we develop this stuff. Because it could, and what Single 7's talking about in 1998 is coming to life right now. Like they started that 4 years ago.
I know.
Like that's wild.
Well, do we even have the word neural augmentation in 1998?
Well, that's what I was wondering, because Art was like the way he said it stood out to me. Neuro augmentation.
Maybe Elon Musk listened to Single 7's interview.
Maybe he did, but he made it.
We didn't have that word back in 98 that I remember.
Yeah, I mean, and now it's like a lot of people talking about it. I mean,
yeah, but who's going to be the first one to try that?
I bet somebody already has. I guarantee you that they've tried it.
But I mean,
they've tried it on pigs. I think there's a video you can look up.
But how are you going to get the pig to explain to you? Yeah, that was pretty good. Good experience.
Pigs are smart.
They're not that smart.
Unless I get superpowers from it, I'm out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're like, hey, we'll put this in your brain. You get the internet through your skull, and you can shoot lasers out of your eyes. That's
right.
Maybe.
And then you get the super criminals, and they'll turn into Gotham City. Right?
Yep.
Now we're talking.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick, I don't know. We kind of this may have been in the first episode, and we couldn't get Larry on. But at some point in this episode with Single 7, he talks about sending pulses, like as a way to
EMP pulses.
About
the tectonic plates.
Right. And so I wanted to talk to you about that, Larry, because I remember back when you were at Area 52 and you came to visit for one reason or another, is that you were telling me, I don't know if you're able to talk about this, but are we working with stuff like that as we speak?
Oh, dude, we were like, it was more of so we were afraid of that, like, is what we were working to defend against, because EMP pulses that's going to be the technology of the future to conduct warfare, to knock out power grids.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you hit a power grid with the EMP pulse and knock it out on the East Coast.
That's scary, man.
We're kind of like, it's terrifying.
Well, are we protected from EMP?
But then, in the Single 7 thing, he was talking about they used EMP pulses to hit the tectonic plates. They like create those volcanoes at the bottom of the ocean.
Right. And so what you're saying is we're developing it as a defense, or we're trying to learn how to defend
against it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So which means we're probably also developing it at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Sure.
Larry, are we protected from those pulses?
Not as much as I would like to be.
Yeah, that's not very comforting.
It's not. Yeah, I know. It's kind of scary.
Can you imagine if they knocked out the power grid?
I don't have the technology yet to knock out like a whole power grid yet, I don't think.
Right. Well, I mean,
we just start up a generator, right?
Yeah. Well, we've seen what happens though. Like it was recent. I don't know. There's a documentary about it when New York City lost electricity.
They had the blackout.
Blackout, yeah, and it was just kind of started getting crazy, dude.
That's scary, man.
It is
Have
scary.
you seen like the study? I think it said if you knocked out the power on the East Coast, it would take like 6 months to descend into complete chaos.
Right.
Oh God.
Yeah. Well, hey, I was talking about it whenever we had the ice storm. I mean, dude, our cell phone stopped working. Larry, excuse me.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't. Well, which was really weird to me. It kind of showed like the fragility of like our system, because I was like, dude, this is an ice storm and I can't call out.
Yeah, because it knocked out the cell towers. It froze all of them up.
Dude, a house I go to like 10 minutes away in Banner's really like 10, 15 minutes away.
Yeah.
They just got their electricity back last week.
Yeah, I know. One of my friends, Scott, he got it on maybe a week and a half ago, and that's been, what? That was like 4 weeks ago.
It's 2020.
Yeah, and it took that long. It's just
I'm saying, like,
crazy.
we should be able to figure that out. So those EMP pulses are important. But it's interesting that he brings them up that these Trav-T groups are using them, or the weather techs are using them as a way to mechanize, weaponize these volcanoes. That's
it's scary. Okay, here we go.
Big entertainment in our culture is switching partners. A man,
oh God,
what a woman feels. And
oh, brother.
Unacceptable.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Jonathan.
Hi, this is Cindy from southern New Mexico.
Hello, Cindy.
What are the weaknesses of the MIM? We don't have much information at all about the Grays.
There's a really good question. She's asking. Yeah, I can ask it for her. She's asking, what are the weaknesses of the MIM or the Grays? We don't know a lot about them.
Yes, right, and that's pretty much where we're at in the future too. We have captured some of them. We know that their bodies aren't as tolerant as ours to extreme weather changes. They need the cold. They need it extremely cold and extremely dark, pretty damp. They're of a humanoid type species, and they do have disc-shaped craft, but the craft, it's hard for them to keep into the third dimension. That's the whole reason that they're here. They're trying to make it into the third dimension. So when they're here, it wouldn't be a war like you would know of. They don't swoop down all the time on human beings. There have been incidents, but most of the time it's fought in space, and in time they're trying to change the weather. That's how they're fighting this war.
Understood. Can you tell me for how long the MIM have been visiting Earth?
Well, they all through history, since prehistory. We took their first transmission in 2051, and that's how they got their name as MIM. That was the first transmission that we got. It was a noise that sounded like.
Tonight, the grim milestone of the.
Okay. So, do you guys find this interesting as the rest? I mean, me and Garrett are just totally into time travel. And what do you guys think so far? Just put it down in the chat box.
You want to bring Larry back in?
Yeah.
He had something he wanted to talk about.
Well, we had some problems for some reason. I don't know why that happened, but yeah, let me try to bring Larry back. Go ahead and talk to the people.
I don't know. It's kind of comforting to know that a lot of the battles are being fought in space and not down here. He said there's like isolated incidents, which again, they kind of just skated over the whole MIM massacres he mentioned. So
yeah,
but he said they're isolated. So I wonder what Bonnie would think about that. Honestly,
I don't know. I hope Bonnie's watching.
I hope Bonnie's watching too.
I'm back.
Are you back? Okay, good. What happened?
I'm not really sure what just happened.
Trav-T group.
Trav-T, yeah, exactly.
Trav-T.
Exactly.
What do you think about that?
Like, wasn't that weird? Like that they're not fighting like a conventional warfare, but they're fighting like through time. But then he said they're fighting in space. But that's the first time I'm like, what do you mean they're fighting in space?
Right? Yeah.
It's like a Star Wars thing. Like, who's fighting? Are we in space too? Is this Space Force, dude? No, let's go.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
How cool would that be?
That'd be amazing.
Wouldn't it be amazing?
Signed back up when Space Force was invented.
Yeah. I mean, is that the future of warfare, though, Larry?
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because I would wear a Darth Vader mask.
So, Larry, getting off the subject a little bit with Single 7, do they really have rods? Have you heard the rods of God or whatever they're called? That basically we have satellites that have these huge rods that can shoot down to Earth on a particular target, and they come with so much force they don't need explosives. They just cause all sorts of destruction.
The kinetic bombardment.
Yes. Is that for real?
I don't know. If it is, I've never heard it or seen it.
Wow.
But how do
Which
you?
would be cool. I would love to see it.
Well, you know, that's
That'd
what.
be sweet.
Do you remember the building several years ago in not Japan, but China, that caught on fire, and they don't know what happened? It's like a kind of an explosion happened, and a lot of people were blaming it on the rods.
Really?
Do you remember that?
I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah, look it up. It's in China, and this building just exploded, and they're like, they have no idea what happened.
Kind of like what you were talking about earlier, though, Larry, about the spontaneous combustions.
Yeah.
And what did Single 7 say about that again?
It's like because the one guy, because he's talking like the MEMS come from like the fourth, and they're trying to get into the third dimension.
Right.
But he said sometimes there's like shifts between the dimensions, and if you get caught in the shift, that's what causes the spontaneous combustion.
Okay.
So, like things will randomly fall from the sky. Like maybe this is another dimensional shift.
Right.
Man, I'm gonna look into that. So you've looked into that about the things that just randomly fall from the sky.
Yeah, and that's what. Yeah, it was just weird because the dimensional shift thing, there's never been like I've never seen that as an explanation.
Right.
So weird.
Well, I wonder what some of the other explanations are. I'm gonna research it.
I mean, that's all like pseudoscience. So weird because the spontaneous combustion one's really interesting because your body's made of water. So like, how the fuck can you catch on fire?
How does that happen?
Yeah.
But you hear about that all the time. I mean, well, not all the time, but there's a lot of cases that.
There are like throughout history, right?
Right, where they find a guy in a chair and all his left is his shoes and his part of his feet.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But you would, because I mean, it's like you think if the guy was on, the guy's on fire, the chair has a little bit of damage to it.
Well, and also, like his feet would have moved.
Right,
He would
right.
get out of there. Yeah.
Well, it's like so internal combustion would be like he exploded from the inside out, automatically died, but the rest of his body burned. But it didn't like burn the carpet in the house. It didn't burn the walls. That's crazy.
That is.
But there's cases of that if you look that up. All right, I know I said let's finish this, but let's go ahead and finish this. I think we got about 5 minutes left in this last segment, and then we'll take some phone calls. So here we go.
Sounded like Mim.
You've got your act together.
I just am telling you what I remember.
I understand. There is a very famous myth or reality, depending on what side of the controversy you believe. That young lady was calling from New Mexico. There was allegedly the crash of some kind of alien craft in 1947 near Roswell, New Mexico. Do you know anything about that?
Oh, that was more than 100 years ago. Like I said, I remember something about some of the first contacts in this time frame being in a desert area, and that's about all. I don't remember any town names or area names, no.
Well, there's an awful lot of people listening to this who are going to take you quite seriously, and they're going to want to know what we can do, or what we should be doing, how we can help.
Just try, and I wish I could help you further with this, but try to find those satellites.
Try to find the satellites.
Yes, and I do think that you have the technology to knock down those satellites. You have to remember that our technology isn't leaps and bounds ahead of yours in this time frame.
All right, but we've got to ask this. Let's say that we did that. Let's say that your warning as a rogue agent is successful, and we find and destroy the satellites that are warming the climate. Doesn't that leave humanity open to the Greys, to the MIM?
No, that'll just force the people in the future to go to more conservative type of weapons that we do have to fight them in. And we can fight them through time, but there's no need to kill millions of people in the past.
To do it. All right. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Jonathan. Hello.
Hello.
Hi there. I have a feeling he's not going to be able to hear you very well.
No, I'm sorry. I don't know if it's my line or...
It may be your line or noise near you. Caller, what can I ask for you?
Okay. Well, you guys were all talking about satellites and what have you.
Yes.
I used to be able to pick up Art Val on my big C-band satellite.
All right. Well, this is not relevant to what we're discussing right now. There is an analog signal that you can pick up that my affiliate in Nashville, WTN, transmits on G5, and I'll try and get that info for you. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Jonathan. Hello?
Yes.
Yes, you're on the air, sir. Where are you?
This is Morgan from Fort Worth.
Fort Worth, Texas. All right.
Yeah, hey, I've got an off-the-wall question for you, and he just touched on it a few minutes ago.
All right.
I was curious what dating or marriage or sex would be like in his time frame.
Apparently very different.
I don't think it's all that different. I don't think human beings will ever change all that much. There are some recreational technologies, but there is marriage and dating. I'm not married, but I have dated many women.
So
Things pretty much the same.
Yes, pretty much the same.
Certainly, yes. The entertainments have changed, and morals, I don't know if they've changed all that much, to tell you the truth.
Well,
there are some people who say bad things about the neuro-augmentation, but
I would think in your time or any time, neural augmentation, as you described it, would be extremely controversial because, in effect, that allows cyber sex with anybody. And
correct, and many people all at once, too, if you can imagine climaxing all at once, and that's a big game as well.
So that's a pretty big moral...
That's more for the younger people, and you have to remember that I'm 32.
And so you're past all that, huh?
Well, not past it. I do like to indulge every now and then, but you have to keep upgrading those augmentations and some of the fashions that they have around the augmentations are...
All right, I realize our time is short. There's one other very important question I should ask. There's been a great deal of speculation that the MIM, or the Greys, have a specific interest in our genetic structure, and that people who are abducted, animals that are mutilated, and there is a lot of that going on, all of this is going on for something that has something to do with their genetic weakness. Is there anything to that?
There could be something to that. I don't know of anything. I know that we know that they have abducted people and they do take DNA samples. Animals, I'm not clear on why they would do that to animals. I've never heard of that.
All right, let me ask you one more question about your field. This is something you should know about. We have something called crop circles, which are designs that appear to be very specific, intricate designs in crops, in fields of crops. It's occurring worldwide. Is it a weather phenomenon of some sort, or is it something we have yet to understand?
In fields of crops, you get circles.
Circles?
Round circles.
Yes.
Is this something the way they grow it in this time frame? I don't know anything of circular growth.
Okay. Jonathan,
I'm quite interested in that. You say that's in crops.
Yes.
And they grow them in circles.
Well, no. That suddenly, in the middle of the night, and for no reason, a group of circles or strange formations will appear, which could not possibly be done by human beings, and they have puzzled us for some time now. It is a worldwide phenomenon. Jonathan, we're out of time.
All right.
I guess
I'm very interested in that crop circle.
I understand. I guess you're on the run, huh?
Yes. Well, it's not quite as grave as I pointed it out to you in the facts.
All right.
Yes, I do have to keep on a move. If
Jonathan,
they do find me, they will.
I understand. Jonathan, if anything changes, you know my fax number. You know how to get hold of me. Fax me, all right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Jonathan, and good night and good luck.
Thank you for putting out the word.
Take care. We'll be right back.
Okay, so What do y'all think?
He's really interested in those crop circles.
He's
huh?
interested in the crop. Well,
growth.
he's a farmer. He wants to know how.
He understood them
He
completely.
He didn't understand that at all. It was like he thought, okay, so we're growing crops in circles.
Circular growth.
Circles. What is that?
Circular crops.
Circular crops.
I'm interested in that.
I must have been sleeping during history lesson on that one.
Yeah. Oh man.
But you don't ever hear about that anymore, really.
No, you don't.
No.
It's crop circles.
Hey, did you have circles and stuff like that at Area 52?
We had those weird
targets,
like bullseye targets on the ground that all people had so many conspiracy theories about.
Like
it was
what?
Like, oh, there's where the aliens land, blah blah blah. And and it is weird if you see the aerial views and you get YouTube videos on Area 52. They always bring them up.
Well, you can even
there's circles, concentric circles that get bigger and bigger, just like a bullseye target. And then what they did with them was it was just like wind dispersion. They would put gas in the middle of it and see how far it would travel.
That's
and they're like, oh, okay,
awesome.
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes much better sense.
Yeah, it makes much more sense than aliens.
That's also scary though.
It is.
Well,
put some chlorine in there.
Chlorine, yeah, and it's
mustard gas.
It's just blowing through the state. Don't worry about the people who's inhaling all that.
Man, that's
they
really
got the same thing, Larry, in Pahrump, which is right by Area 51, right, over the Groom Lake there.
Yeah.
So and actually, you guys, I was going to say, you can go to Google Maps and go to Pahrump, and you see these.
How do you spell that?
Pahrump is like P-A. God, don't do that live.
Sorry.
P-A-H-R-U-M-P, I think. Pahrump,
okay.
yeah.
Pahrump.
And it looks like targets. And when I first saw it, I thought, oh, someone just put that there because Art Bell is, you know.
Yeah.
And it's weird looking. But
that wind dispersion stuff, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's scary is what that
it is. Yeah.
If you think about, gosh, I mean, Larry, did they think about that? Like, I mean, the toxic.
Which was the first question. We're like, you're releasing mustard gas? When do you do it? And they're like, and the thing is, nobody's out there, and it dissipates by the time it would reach anybody.
Yeah, maybe it's such a small amount that it's not going to affect anybody.
It's not enough to do any harm at all. They just track it and it's gone.
What about the nuclear missile testing sites in Nevada?
Dude, there are, and there was one. It was weird. I'm not really sure what they did. If it was underground testing out there, because there was a weird nuclear testing spot close by too.
Yeah, because I saw
it gets weirder and weirder. Because then if you had because where we were at, it was remote, and if you kept going west, you're in the salt flats, and there's nothing in between where we were and Nevada. The closest town was Windover across the line. There's nothing in between there for 3 hours, man.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Jaggy C says Pahrump. It's P-A-H. R-U-M-P, Pahrump, Nevada.
I'm gonna look it up.
And that's where Art lived, and if you look at it from Google Maps as you're coming into it, like you're on your phone, you'll see 3 target-looking things.
It's really interesting.
It looks like it's actually kind of greenish radar looking.
Right.
It looks like it's out in a farmer's field.
Right.
It's just out there.
Hey, what was real quick? You guys may have caught this, but what was he saying about the meteors and asteroids and the magnetic?
He was just saying that the asteroids that they didn't have any problems, but the reason for that was that Jupiter sucks everything up.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, because Jupiter's Jupiter's our big magnet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But have you seen recently they said that Jupiter's been hurling asteroids out of its orbit too.
Oh God.
Great. Yeah, but I mean that's
flinging them back at us.
That's Earth's protective planet for us,
Yeah.
That's the one
they call it the vacuum cleaner of the solar system.
Right. Yeah.
Well,
and also Savannah said that the Flash can travel back in time, which is true.
Oh wow!
He either uses the cosmic treadmill or he can use the speed force.
Very good.
He can run. He runs past Mach 2, and it changes the vibrations in his body, and it helps him travel through time. Anyway,
if you have any questions about superheroes, you can ask one. He's on the line.
Okay, well, if anybody wants to call, give us a call, 205-730-6441. And it doesn't even have to be about time travel. Just call and say hello. Well, we're a new channel. We want to get to know you guys. So, again, 205-730-6441. And if Gina, she read my mind right when I said once you post that, she already did. But that's probably my all-time favorite Art Bell episode.
Oh, yeah.
One of them.
Yeah.
When you listen to Art constantly.
Yeah, and that's probably one of my favorites. It's just there's so many though. There's in fact there's a guy that has a YouTube channel. I can't remember what it's called. I'd plug it for him if I could. But he has that American Truck Simulator. And
Right. Oh, yeah.
He's just
I've
driving
seen-
around in a truck and he's listening to Art Bell for 2 hours, and the guy gets like 5,000 views.
Yeah.
It's like
you were watching it.
Yeah, I watch it all the time.
Hey, how'd you get turned on to Art Bell?
Golly, that's a good question. Off of Coast to Coast, because I heard about a show called Coast to Coast that had paranormal stuff, and I started listening to it. And
Went down the rabbit hole.
I mean, the bad thing about Coast to Coast was, Art didn't come on until midnight, and it lasted till 5 a.m.
He was on for 5 hours?
Yeah, he was on radio for 5 hours. And yeah, so it's like he would have 2 guests on usually, 1 guest for 2 hours. But I mean, the commercials were brutal, man.
Right.
The commercials would last like 10 minutes, 11 minutes.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah. So, I mean, and the thing was,
he's probably out smoking a cigarette or something.
yeah, he was a heavy smoker, man. But yeah, he was just so interesting. And I hate he's dead, man. It's just so sad because we'll never hear a new Art Bell show. But there's so many that we can go and listen to,
Absolutely.
But all right, come on, guys. 205-730-6441.
Hey, Bonnie Rampy was awesome.
Yes.
Amber, Dr. Corelli,
Kathy Nance.
Kathy Nance was incredible.
And me and you on the Halloween special.
Those have all been really good. They're starting to get views. People are starting to pick it up.
Well, we're going to have, like I said, we're going to have the military
medium. That's going to be awesome.
on.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll send you a link, Larry. He's got
please do.
a little video that he has with it. It's pretty cool. But
I
anyway,
want to kind of join you guys on the Bonnie Rampy adventure too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'll set it up, Garrett.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, I'm even thinking about
everything else.
Yeah, we're gonna have a great. Yeah, that everybody be staying tuned for that one, and that's gonna be. I don't know that anybody's ever done that where they've live streamed UFOs. I mean, actually, we know there's going to probably be UFOs. What if we go there and nothing happens?
Oh, something will happen.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it is.
I'm banking on that. Nothing happening.
Yeah,
I want to get my hopes up.
We got Cassidy, the professional photographer, with her expensive camera, and I'm even thinking about renting a really expensive video camera.
Cool.
To take out there so we can get camera shots.
And she's so nice.
Yeah, Bonnie's great.
Yeah,
but
that was a great interview.
I don't know. I don't think she's listening tonight because I told her to say hello and she hasn't said hello.
Yeah.
Or maybe she's just shy.
Well,
a
lot of these people listen later too. Like my brother, Evan.
Yeah, is Evan out there?
No, because he had to watch Home Alone with his kids, so he said he's going to catch up on it later.
He's letting family get in front of this.
Unbelievable,
man. What is wrong with him?
I don't do that.
Priorities, Evan.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but if you guys could spread the word about the channel, it's funny because I'm sorry, I'm not trying to bitch, but it's like we got 340 something members on Facebook, but no one will go over to YouTube and like it or join. So
it'll happen.
Yeah, it'll get there.
Hey, because here's the other thing that I think our listeners need to be aware of. We're not going to stop just at Bigfoot and aliens and time travelers and ghosts. We're talking about the Manson massacres.
Yeah, we may do a Charles Manson Helter Skelter show.
Yep. Yes. The Delphi.
Delphi. Yeah,
we've got somebody on the case.
Yep.
Right, and so there's going to be some true crime type of stuff that's going to be fascinating.
Yeah, we're hoping to get hopefully get Kelsey German on.
Yep, Kelsey German.
She was a sister of Liberty German.
And Kathy Owens is trying to make her way through the Delphi.
Hey, Kathy brought up something that was. I mean, I talked.
Yeah, did we tell that real fast?
Yeah, I talked with her last week, and she's a psychic, and I gave her the information. I mean, this is a case, if you guys don't know, happened in Delphi, Indiana. Two teenage girls were basically just brutally murdered in this park, and they got one of the girls actually was smart enough to take her phone out, and she videoed this guy coming towards them and actually caught his voice on her phone as well. So they released the video of the guy walking, and then they released his voice, and this is we're going on 4 years and this thing hasn't been solved yet.
Right.
So
it's been on Dr. Phil, which I'm a huge fan of Dr. Phil.
Yeah, Dr. Phil. It's been on lots of channels.
It's been all over.
There are literally probably
15 channels on YouTube just dedicated to Delphi.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them what Kathy?
Yeah. So what Kathy basically, I gave her the information, and so she kind of said she tuned into the girls, and what she saw was the guy, and I hate to get violent, especially live, but he hit one of the girls so hard on the back of the head that her shoe fell off and went over the bridge. Well, they did find Abby's shoe under the bridge.
Right.
When they were doing a search.
And Kathy said she hadn't looked into it.
Yeah, and I asked her, Kathy said she wasn't aware of that. So
she was stand-up. She was fun. She was really awesome to talk to.
Yeah, so she was saying that she's a truck driver, and she was saying if she can get out there, she said if she can get to the scene, it actually plays out like a movie.
Right.
Like she'll see the whole thing from start to the end. And I kept asking her, I said, was you able to see the guy? And she said, not really. She said, I could just see the kind of a silhouette look. He was a
Right.
heavy set guy, maybe in his 50s.
Man, and we talked about how I'm a super recognizer, and the guy I picked committed suicide.
Yeah. Garrett actually was tested by some
Cambridge University.
Go ahead and share that with them.
Okay.
Yeah, please do. It's so weird.
Garrett's been my son-in-law forever, and I've never even heard the story.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Garrett.
I heard something on super recognition. And it's basically you can identify faces really well, and it's been something I've done forever. I see people all over the place, and I'll say hi to them, and they'll be really shocked. You can ask us. We'll be watching a movie. I'll see people in the background, and I'll say, "Hey, look who it is!" It's like, I'll name an actor who's famous now, and so it's always been a joke. Like even before we would go into Walmart, I would say, "Pick a number. How many people do you think I'm going to notice today?" And she'll give it a number. And initially it was like 1, and then it got to the point where it was like 6. And so she'd be like, because it was getting to the point where every time we go somewhere, I'd just be picking people out that we knew around town and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so then I heard about the super recognition, and I took a test. And so we stopped. We actually pulled over. We went to go eat lunch, and she's like, take the test now. It was just an initial test that some, guy was running out of Cambridge University. He opened it up. I think 3 million people took it. And it ended up being a 2-hour test. So we sat on the border for 2 hours, and I just took it on a cell phone, and I ended up scoring in the 1 percentile, essentially.
That's crazy.
Of America. Okay, top 10%.
I took it too, Garrett. I took it too.
Right. How'd you do?
I wasn't near yours. Yours was really good.
Yeah,
it was insane that you got, because it was difficult. I don't think people were like, you just look at it. It was hard. Like it was like grainy ass pictures of like half of their face.
Yeah, I forgot you took it. Yeah, Cass took it too.
It was insanely difficult.
Yeah. So people started taking it.
I can't, like, you getting that high on it is impressive. I'll tell you that.
So what they started doing is all of a sudden they started sending me emails about once every 3 months for new testing. And so like I did one, it was like Egyptian faces. I did an African plus Egyptian. And I kept scoring higher and higher. And but there's no real use for it, right? And so when you
there would be in law enforcement.
Well, there was,
right?
A cheap party trick.
Yeah, it is a cheap party trick.
Well, why don't you go hide in the room next to you? I'll find you.
Yeah, exactly. Because it doesn't hold up in court. Like now we have cameras everywhere. This is out of the UK, which is very well surveilled, right? But so when the Delphi thing happened, I said, hey, send me the thing. And then I said, but don't send me, I'm not going to do any, I hadn't done any research.
Right.
I said, don't put the names on the suspects. There's like 4 guys that they're suspecting. And the guy I picked, I really feel like, and I told you that was a kind of a difficult picture to look at. But from what I could tell, it was the guy number 3. I don't even know his name. Guy number 3.
Paul Eder.
What is his name?
Paul Eder.
Paul Eder. And what was his story? I didn't even look up his story.
Basically, his story was that he was being chased by the police for another crime.
A bad crime?
A murder.
Okay.
Yeah. And
did it involve children?
No, but I think he did have a pedophile charge against him.
Okay.
And so basically he pulled his car over, cops had him surrounded, and he shot himself in the head, killed himself.
Okay. But why was he even on the radar in the first place, though?
I think because he had been in Delphi. He looked a whole lot like the bridge guy.
Yeah.
That's the guy that's the name they gave the guy crossing the bridge guy. Yeah, but I mean the other suspect, Thomas Bruce,
right,
is,
which I could see similarities to him too, though.
Yeah, and about
probably 4 psychics that I've watched that every time they looked at a picture of Thomas Bruce, they got nauseous.
Well, I'm not,
and they got sick.
I'm not psychic, but I also told you too that like my initial like inner response was that guy.
Oh, before you picked Paul Eder.
Yeah, before I picked Paul Eder, it was the number one. Was it number one?
Yeah, he was the first guy.
Okay, yeah, number one. That was my gut instinct. And then as I tried to like break it down in my head, because that's how you look at like certain features, right?
Yeah.
And so then, but what was hard is it was profile here, and then the pictures from the side. So you have to take those, and you have to imagine the rest of the face. That's how I got that's circular.
tough.
And that video is so bad. I mean,
it is.
It's so bad. You really can't see any.
You would have to see their body. That's why I texted you too, because sometimes what they'll send me the test, it'll have their like actually their shoulder up.
Yeah.
Profile, and that's what you don't, because the guy in the picture, almost the neck kind of gives it away. The neck and the shoulders to me. I was
and he's looking down the whole time because he's crossing that bridge, which is super dangerous. I mean, because there's slats missing out.
Yeah.
And it's 70 feet up in the air.
Yeah.
So if you fall off that, you're a dead man, right? So he's looking down, so you really can't see too many features of his face.
And why would he be walking across that bridge?
Well, to kill two
I know,
little
that's
girls.
why, I mean, it's just so.
I mean, he's
so
definitely
odd.
whoever that guy on the bridge.
That was
he's
him. That's him.
But I just find it so weird that no one's recognized this guy.
Yeah,
I mean,
know.
nobody, unless someone's trying to protect him, and I guess that's possible too.
Are the cops keeping some things hush hush though? Aren't they?
They have not said they're
which
not,
is promising, I think.
Well, I don't. They haven't said. They hadn't even said how the girls died. There's just
they
rumors
can't.
and speculation.
Because if they get you tripped up in an interrogation and you mention something that nobody else knows besides the investigators, right?
Yeah, but let me tell you what kind of puts a kibosh on that is we know what the guy looks like. So if he came in and gave a confession and it was a false confession, like you would know, okay, well, that's definitely not the guy. He doesn't look anything like the bridge guy.
Right.
So why not go ahead and start releasing things,
Yeah.
And there's a big question.
But why would they release facts of the actual crime scene, though?
Well, I mean, a lot of people want to know, do they have DNA? That's one of the big things.
Right.
But
why is that? Why would we need to know that?
How they died?
Or the DNA, if they have DNA. Like, why would we as the public need to know that?
Yeah, that's true.
That's kind of
because we have a morbid sense.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's why I feel like it's kind of promising, because they're keeping it real tight. Like, when it starts getting kind of messy.
Yeah.
So hopefully they have something and they're trying to just build that freaking case against somebody.
Yeah, but there's a lot of people, I guess, they think that if they had more information that they could help try to
sleuth.
A lot of armchair detectives out there, man.
Oh, there are.
And like
for
I said,
sure. And that's why I was asking the question.
YouTube's full of them. I mean, like I said, there's literally 20, 30 YouTube pages that are just about that murder.
Yeah.
And
man, I am curious if they have DNA though, because they would be able to.
I think they do, because one of the guys, one of the guys that lives in Delphi, he has a show about it, and he said the cops actually came and wanted him to do a swab.
Good.
Which he refused, but I mean, this guy's definitely not the bridge guy.
I'm really weird about because my wife wanted to do the.
Yeah, a lot of people don't want their DNA out there.
No.
I'm super weird about it.
Yeah.
What worries you guys about that though?
Well, what if I have to commit a damn crime?
Biometrics is the next level of security that we're all going to use. Like, look at fingerprints. Nowadays, you don't want your DNA and stuff out there.
Well, I mean,
your data. Your data is valuable. Don't give up your private information.
Are you planning on committing a crime, Larry? Is it?
Yeah, I might.
Robbing a bank is on my bucket list.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's
I'm going to commit a crime.
That's the only thing I can
initially.
I mean, that's the only thing I can think of where people are like, I don't want my DNA out there, because what if I decide to steal a car or rob a bank or something?
Yeah, but what if someone takes your DNA and I plant it at the crime scene?
Or hey, what if
I mean, you wouldn't have an actual physical DNA with you. You could pull a slide out.
Hey, I'm gonna
what if you shave your head for locks of love and give it to someone else, and they have your hair and they leave your hair at the crime scene?
Just make sure you don't have the root follicle in it. You'll be fine.
Hey, here I'm gonna be just really blunt and honest. Why I don't want my DNA out there is because I don't necessarily trust the judicial system. I don't want to be in the system at all. I don't want to ever be in an interrogation room. I don't want to do that. Like I just
I don't want to do it. Yeah.
I just want to stay as far away as I can. I want to live my life, and I don't want anybody to bother me. That's it.
I know.
Because it's dangerous once you get in there, dude.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, it is.
Agree. It's a toss up. If you're in there, it's a toss up.
Yeah. And so, man, I watch the shows and I love them and I'm intrigued by them, but I'd never want to be on the other end of an interrogation.
I'm with you 1,000%.
Thank you.
Well,
hey, great show though.
Yeah, it was a good show, and
that Delphi thing, that's going to be awesome.
Yeah, well, I mean,
we could do one on Heaven's Gate cult too.
Oh God, yeah, and that kind of was going on during the time of what Single 7 was talking about, the suicide cults and whatnot.
Yeah,
you know, he kind of nailed that too.
He did.
All right. Well, I don't think anybody's going to call. Let's see, Greg, what did you say? I need to call in about me dreaming in the future, and then it comes true. As you know, Keith, I did a month ago and told you what it was. Less than a week later, it came true. Yeah, that is true.
Can he call? Does he want to call?
Yeah, well, you can call Greg if you want.
I would love for Greg
We
to
got
call.
about 5 minutes. Go ahead, man. If you want to call, go ahead, call. It's 205-730-6441. We can talk about it. But yeah, Greg has this weird thing, man, where he has these dreams. Not all of his dreams come true, but but they're really, if they're really a vivid, lucid type of dream, they come true. Like he basically, you know, I think I've told everybody I'm in a band called the British Invasion Group.
Awesome band, man.
Thank you. And so we do a lot of shows. Well, with COVID, it's kind of killed everything.
Right, yeah.
And so, you know, Greg lives in Florida, so he has to fly up here for us to do rehearsals. And you know, we hadn't had to do that much because we have no shows coming up.
Right.
And he said, he called me one day, he goes, man, I just had a dream. He goes, and it's going to come true, I can tell. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, I dreamed that we got a gig and it was like in less than 4 weeks. And about 2 days later, he got a phone call and we got booked like in about for 3 weeks.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So he's had other things like that happen, which would be interesting if he had called. But
that's cool.
Are you, Greg, are you going to call? I know it's past your bedtime. I'll give you 2 minutes, Greg, and then I'm going to shut this thing down.
Hey, I will tell everybody too. I sat and talked with Keith at the table about the Manson situation for a long time, and kind of sent me down the rabbit hole a little bit, and that was really intriguing to me because I told you I think a lot of people like from my young. Oh, we're getting a call?
I don't know.
Okay. We just think of like the Manson, and we think, oh well, he was crazy and he killed everybody. We kind of generalize the situation when in reality he didn't actually kill anybody. So
it's wild, dude. It's wild. That whole story is wild. I listened to like so many podcasts on the whole Manson situation.
Yeah,
how about he with the Beach Boys? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wrote a college paper on it, and I did. I mean, I read Helter Skelter when I was 10 years old.
Good boy.
And
good young,
which I was always interested in true crime, and so, but there's so many theories out there about Manson being a government, you know, even being a government undercover person.
Taking some
There's a book called Chaos.
Yeah,
that's just, and it is chaos. I can't buy it. It's too way out there.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that think that the whole the murder thing was because Tex Watson, who was in the family, as they call it. It was a big drug burn. He went there to rob those people because he knew about a guy that was coming in town, and supposedly there's going to be a huge drug deal that night. He shows up. The guy didn't show up, so he gets mad at Frykowski, who's one of the victims, and just goes crazy and starts killing everybody in the house.
And then has to make it look like...
And then has to make it look, you know, yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Don't spill the beans on that episode, Keith.
Well, I won't.
Okay.
I won't. Greg is sending me hang on a second. I can't read what Greg just put, but anyway, yeah. So yeah, the Manson thing, talk about a rabbit hole, but I just, you know, there's a lot of people that think Helter Skelter, the book, was Vincent Bugliosi's crazy ideal of just whatever he could do to convict Manson.
Right, yeah.
You know, and so he came up with this crazy Helter Skelter thing. But at the same time, you've got all the girls that were actually involved in the murder, you know,
now they're all saying, yeah, that was what happened. Charlie said there was going to be a race war, and he was trying to start it. And they're all saying that, but there's still a bunch of people that think the girls are lying about it. And I'm like, what would be their point of lying?
I don't know. What do they get from that?
Well, what they say is this. I mean, and they say, well, man, if they go along with, we were wrong, and Manson did have this idea that maybe they'll get parole. And those girls are never going to get parole.
Right.
Leslie Van Houten did get approved for parole. But Governor Newsom, he denied it. Right. But I mean, that would be political suicide. There's not any governor. Can you imagine? I mean, if Governor Newsom was wanting to run for president, say in 5-6 years, everybody go, well, he's the guy that let out one of the Manson girls, So it's just those girls need to sit tight and just stay there because they're not getting out.
Right.
And
I don't know. Politics are pretty nice. I doubt they would use that against them.
Right. Oh yeah. They back off of that.
No problem. Just a Manson girl.
Just a Manson girl. But it's an interesting case. But
don't
I mean,
spill the beans.
Well, there's really no beans to spill. I mean, we can. I got a lot of knowledge about it.
You do.
I could talk a few hours about it with you guys, but
we're going to.
We can bring up some of the and I can shoot him down. I think there's one guy that he's just.
Here we go.
Yeah. Well, okay. Never mind. I won't say anything else.
It's
All
so
right.
good. Wait.
That's
It is
a good episode.
It is so good. We sat at the table that day. We were supposed to be talking about something completely different. We started talking about Manson, and I learned so much. I even watched a movie called Manson Family Vacation, which was a little bit interesting. And Keith was
Did you watch that?
Yeah, I watched it all, which I really liked it. And Keith was like, nope, they're in front of a fake house. That's not even the real house. But it's great stuff. I can't wait for that episode. But good stuff.
Is there what other one, Garrett, would you like to do on crime? I know a lot about crime, man.
No, I know. No, I just the ones we just mentioned, I think are all three just need to be on the list.
Yeah.
Hey, and if anybody has a case, send it in.
Yeah, if you got an unsolved case, and you'd be surprised how many unsolved cases are out there.
Absolutely.
It's very interesting cases that never even make networks.
With the unsolved case, we will show up and not solve it.
That's right. All right,
we'll talk about it.
It is 9:00, and we want to thank everybody for showing up today.
Thank you,
That's
Larry.
my radio voice. Thanks, Larry. Thank you very much for showing up, and thank all of you guys for watching. And remember, spread the good word about the show. Let's get a bunch of people in the community, and let's have some great discussions. And we will see you next week. I'll announce sometime this week about who we will be having on. Okay. All right. Good night, everybody.